capability replaced by authorization. You open the dashboard, click the button you've clicked 100 times, and a gray notice stops you. Permission required. The work isn't blocked by difficulty. It's blocked by an approval queue, a checklist, and an unread notification. Power often shows up as permissions, the quiet ability to allow, deny, delay, or make you ask. Over time, many systems replace capability with authorization. What you can do becomes less about what you know and more about what you're allowed to touch. That shift doesn't need a villain to happen. It is built from ordinary goals: reduce risk, increase consistency, prove compliance, prevent mistakes. But the impact is concrete. When the route from intention to action passes through gates you don't control, your agency becomes conditional. Your day becomes a series of requests, and your responsibility becomes ambiguous. You are accountable for outcomes you were not empowered to produce. Look at the mechanism. Permissions begin as protection. A team has an incident. The wrong field edited, the wrong file shipped, the wrong setting changed. The cost is real, and so is the fear of repeating it. So a constraint is added. Only certain roles can deploy. Only certain people can approve spending. Only certain accounts can see certain data. The constraint reduces one kind of harm, accidental damage, but it introduces another: delay, dependency, and silent bottlenecks. Now notice who benefits and who bears the cost. The people who sit closest to oversight benefit. Managers gain predictable processes, auditors gain clearer trails, platform owners gain control, and leadership gains a sense of reduced exposure. The costs land elsewhere. The operator who used to fix the issue now waits. The support person absorbs frustration. The customer bears the downtime. The junior staff member learns that competence doesn't move the system without sponsorship. Even the approver pays a cost, a queue that turns judgment into throughput. This is where incentives matter. If an organization is punished for visible mistakes more than it is rewarded for invisible reliability, it will optimize for permission gates. No incident on my watch becomes the incentive, and the easiest proof is restriction. A feedback loop forms. Restriction creates fewer visible errors. Fewer visible errors justify more restriction. More restriction concentrates knowledge and access into fewer hands. That concentration increases the perceived risk of letting others act, so the system tightens again. The trade-off is unavoidable, but often unspoken: speed and learning versus control and legibility. When you distribute capability, you get faster action and broader learning, but you accept variability and occasional mistakes. When you centralize authorization, you get consistency and traceability. But you trade away initiative and local context, and the system usually chooses what it can measure. It can measure approvals completed, access requests closed, policy adherence, and time to sign off. It struggles to measure the cost of interrupted focus, the erosion of craft, the quiet decision not to try, because it'll get denied anyway. Permissions also reshape responsibility. If you can't act without approval, then acting becomes someone else's risk, and your role narrows to requesting and documenting. That produces another loop. People protect themselves with receipts, screenshots, ticket numbers, meeting notes, because the system rewards defensibility. The work starts to look like proof of work. In that environment, power is not only the right to decide, it is the ability to make others perform the rituals of asking. This is not only a workflow problem, it's a dignity problem. Dignity includes being treated as a capable agent, not merely as a potential liability. When every meaningful action requires permission, attention drifts from serving the real task toward navigating gates. People watch for signals: who can approve, who can escalate, what wording gets a yes, because access becomes the scarce resource. Agency becomes something you rent. You may have the knowledge, the care, and the willingness to carry responsibility, yet the system teaches you to wait. Over time, that waiting changes identity. I'm not someone who fixes. I'm someone who files. And responsibility becomes distributed in a way that dissolves it. When the outcome is good, it was the process. When the outcome is bad, it was the requester or the approver or the tool. No one owns the full consequence because no one held full authority. Consent also gets blurry. Permissions can be framed as safety, but they can also become a means of control that people never explicitly agreed to. a gradual expansion of what requires authorization, a narrowing of what counts as acceptable action. The system doesn't need to say, "We don't trust you." It can simply require one more checkbox, one more sign-off, one more role assignment. Intent is not impact. The impact is a life lived inside other people's gates. Notice where your day turns into requests. The approval chain, the access ticket, the meeting that exists mainly to unlock a decision. Consider what is being protected and what is being transferred. Risk moved upward, time moved downward, attention moved from outcomes to compliance. Name the trade-off out loud, even if only to yourself. What capability is being gained and what capability is being surrendered? Notice the language that shows where power sits. Who owns this? Who can grant access? Who is the approver? And consider what the system permits, constrains, and ignores. A system that scales must also account. Account not only for incidents avoided, but for agency eroded, learning slowed, and responsibility blurred. When capability must ask permission to exist, power has already moved. The work of responsibility is to see that movement clearly, without blame, and to name its costs alongside its protections.